Hi, I'm Rami Atasi, and this is Guitar Tactics. So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to apply the concept of a Lydian major chord. So this is the second part of two lessons on Lydian major chords. The first one introduces how we construct Lydian major chords, and if you haven't seen that, you may want to click the link in this lesson before we get into this material, although you may already be somewhat familiar with Lydian major chords. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with 4 shapes for a C Lydian major chord. And then we're just going to look at a couple contexts where we can apply that. So let's look at the shapes. And again, these are in the previous lesson with more explanation if you feel like you need that. So the first is going to be, and the first is built off the open position C that most guitarists are going to be familiar with. And it goes like this. Let's try that again. And the next one is like this. So we have, and then we have a couple up here, and these ones are based on that C bar shape that you're probably familiar with. And so they're like this. Oh, actually, it's the top 4 voices of that C bar. So here's C. Now C Lydian major. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. So that's the 2 shapes. Here's 1, here's 2, in that position. So all together we have okay, so now it's time to start talking about how we apply this and what's going on. So the first thing that I want us to talk about is the concept of this sharp 4. And so a Lydian chord, for example, a C Lydian chord, is going to have a sharp 4, an F sharp in it. And so otherwise it might just be like a normal C major chord, but there's that F sharp, that sharp 4. And the sound of the C against the F sharp is called a tritone. So let's hear that. Here's C, and here's F sharp. Right? So there's a tritone there. That's the name of that interval, sharp 4. Or a flat 5. People call it tritone, flat 5. Okay. And so we can hear how on top is this C chord, right? But down low, there's this tension, this tritone. Now that low tension that we're hearing right there, that tritone, that tension sounds to us like a D7 chord. And that's a weird concept at first, but check this out. So here's this tritone of C against F sharp. And now let's hear a D7 chord. There's a lot of different ways we could play this, but just for this situation, I'm going to play it like this. So that's D7. And here's C Lydian. Or even this shape that I gave you. Very, very close to D7. Yeah, this is a great voicing that I should use more often. So that's a D7 and a C Lydian, and they're really close, and the reason is because they both have this tritone of C and F sharp, which is what we have in a D chord as well. So a good way to think about it is there's this relationship, so that if I'm dealing with a dominant 7 chord, like I'm dealing with a D7, I can take the root, and I can move it down a whole step. That gives me the flat 7, and that's where I build my Lydian major chord. So this can be really useful, like let's say that we're in the key, might be in the key of G, right? We might have a D7. Turning around. Now, let's try that Lydian. You hear how that works? You hear how instead of playing a D7, I'm playing a C Lydian major chord. That kind of concept. And so, you know, but the thing is, we wouldn't have to do it if we were playing in G. We could do it, maybe we're playing in like A minor, like an A Dorian kind of, like a funk type of thing, you know? Like. So if we're playing like in that kind of thing, we could put a C Lydian chord in there like this. You know, that kind of concept. Anytime we're encountering those dominant chords, like a D7 dominant chord, we can play that C Lydian. And it's going to work really well, you know, if you change the key. Like, let's say, for example, that we're in the key of B flat. And in B flat, the 5 chord is an F7. So, or maybe like this. So let's try that, and let's just vamp a B flat to an F7. And then we'll play a Lydian chord in there too. That's the dominant root. And that's that Lydian sound right there, right? And you can hear that there I was using kind of a different, probably a different shape than I've showed you guys so far, which is this kind of thing, which is another really nice way to play a Lydian chord. So here I'm playing an E flat Lydian major chord, and I'm actually playing, this is like a major 6 chord, which gets to the concept that, you know, I can play major 7, 9, major 9, 6 chords, any of those, and I can make them Lydian by adding a sharp 4, right? So like when I come up here and I'm in B flat, I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I better go find those exact shapes I was using and bring them over. No, I'm actually thinking, okay, I need to play the notes of E flat major, and I need to put an F sharp in there, you know? And I let the position that I'm at on the guitar determine how I'm going to do that, you know? So if I had this here, this F7, right, I can kind of hear out how I would go, all right, here's an F in the bass, we'll move it down, okay, and then here's my tritone, okay, and then, oh, I was liking that note up top, that G up top, and then just by default, my finger here kind of fell to the C on the G string, the 5th fret of the G string, and I got this. And that works, you know, in context. Hear that? So it really kind of sounds like an F7 or an E flat Lydian. It really just depends on context. And so this is a really useful technique. Anytime you have a dominant chord, move the root down a whole step and play a Lydian major chord. And instead of hearing that straight dominant chord that sounds so, you know, familiar to us, we can add an air of ambiguity and a new color to these moments of tension in the music that we play. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, just leave me a note in the comments. If you'd like to see some more in-depth application of these Lydian major chords, I'd be happy to do it. You know, when it comes to chord substitutions and chord concepts, things get a little dense. So if you want to hear a little more about it, feel free to leave me a note. So thanks again, and good luck with your practicing.